Ungana naye Askofu Michael Wambiru wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu kuanzia saa 1 hadi saa 2 asubuhi.
Ningetaka nikwambie, our Jehovah God, because the Bible says he is the same yesterday, today and forevermore. He is able to take you to a place of abundance. He is able to take you to Rehoboth in the name of Jesus Christ.
Kipindi ni neno la neema, ukiletewa naye Askofu Michael Wambiru wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu. Usikose.
Coronavirus disease is now spreading within counties in Kenya, from person to person through contact with droplets when an infected person speaks, coughs or sneezes, or through touching contaminated surfaces and objects. Anybody with a weakened body immunity has a greater risk of contracting coronavirus disease. People living with pre-existing medical conditions such as HIV, cancer, TB, diabetes among others must adhere to their treatment to strengthen immunity and therefore should ensure they have a constant supply of necessary medicines. Contact your clinic or health facility for information on how to access treatment. Help others within your network to access adequate supply of essential medicines. Ensure that you remain connected with your local networks for any support and follow the medical guidelines provided by your health facility to prevent coronavirus. Remember to stay updated with information on coronavirus using only trusted reliable channels. For more information on COVID-19, call 719 or dial *719#. COVID-19 is preventable. Protect yourself, your family, and the community. This message has been brought to you by the Government of Kenya and its partners.
Good evening. Welcome to Channel 1 News Hour. I trust you've had a lovely day so far. Well, we have a comprehensive bulletin lined up for you this Friday. For now, let's take a look at the highlights.
Mission unbelievable. Police arrest 10 suspects after male KCSE candidates break into a girls' school at night. Bullet dislodged from slain KBC staffer's skull as police pursue crucial clues in the murder probe. And Prince Philip is dead. World leaders mourn the death of Duke of Edinburgh.
Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Jacky. Wambiru. Our sign language interpreter is Byron Abuli. Remember, you can interact with us on our Twitter handle at KBC Channel 1 or at Jacky Wambiru. Now, let's begin the broadcast. 17 more deaths resulting from COVID-19 complications have been reported in the country Friday. The Ministry of Health says the deaths occurred in the last 1 month but were not reported on time. The new statistics bring to 2,309 the total number of fatalities in the country. The country also recorded 1,091 new infections from 7,300 samples tested, representing a 14.9% positivity rate.
17 more people have succumbed to COVID-19 in the country, placing the total of fatalities to date to 2,309.
Out of the cumulative deaths recorded so far, 1,100 are aged 60 years and above, 522 are aged 50 to 59 years, 323 are aged 40 to 49 years, while 208 are aged between 30 to 39 years. Over the last 24 hours, 1,091 people have tested positive for COVID-19 to push the total of positive cases to 144,154. 533 patients have made full recovery, with another 1,605 still admitted in hospital. Out of the patients in hospital, 236 are in the intensive care unit. So far, 422,021 people have been vaccinated against COVID-19, with 238,522 being male and accounting for 56.5% of the total vaccinations. Meanwhile, Kiambu County Governor James Nyoro has urged Treasury to release funds to counties that were declared by the government as COVID-19 infected zones and put on lockdown. The county boss says that the county facilities are stretched due to high number of COVID-19 patients, hence the need for more funding to cater for their needs.
The national government today owes Kiambu more than 2.5 billion shillings. Hata hatuja lipa wafanyikazi wetu, the frontline workers who have been working on this COVID. Can you imagine we have not paid them their salary, their March salary? Because our money is lying somewhere in treasury.
The Tigoni COVID-19 Center in Kiambu is said to have 100 patients so far. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
And now on matters education, police in Nakuru are holding 10 Form 4 students from Anista Boys Bahati, who were among a group of students who broke into a neighboring Anista Precious Girls' School, which is about 2 kilometers away, last night. According to the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, the boys, who are sitting for the ongoing Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examination, sneaked into the school unnoticed under the cover of darkness.
According to the DCI, officers from Githioro Police Station responded swiftly after a distress call from the girls and rushed to the school. However, the DCI says the police's presence in the school didn't scare the defiant boys who kept loitering in the dormitory. This forced one of the officers to fire a round of ammunition in the air to scare them away. The officers later managed to arrest the 10 boys as others escaped in the dead of the night.
Of course, 10 of them are those who were arrested, and the other 6 they were intercepted in the morning as they were trying to return back to school, having spent the night out.
According to Nakuru County Commissioner Erastus Mbui, 60 other students have also been suspended after they were caught trying to sneak back to school this morning.
The school population is huge, so probably because of the expression of this pressure in being in school, we don't want them to disrupt the other learners who are willing to continue with running without any disturbances. So it is now upon their parents who will be able to make arrangements for where they can stay, as their only consideration to enter the school is being candidates.
Elsewhere, at least 10 girls are sitting their exams in various health facilities in Bomet sub-county. Speaking at Mulot High School in Bomet County while supervising opening and distribution of KCSE examination, Petroleum and Mining CAS engineer John Mosonek raised concerns over pregnancy cases in Bomet as the man candidate sitting the KCSE.
Pregnancies among the girl students is a big challenge. And during the exam time, about 10 or 8 students actually from this sub-county are doing exams in the hospital having delivered. I think this is a social challenge which must be addressed by both leadership here, starting from the parents and then the chiefs, and also in terms of academic community, within the sector, education sector.
Meanwhile, Coast Regional Commissioner John Elungata has urged security personnel manning the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education to be extra vigilant to avert any examination irregularities.
Kulia haya mambo hivi basi mtihani wetu utaharibika, alafu utasikia kwamba ile shule ulikuwa unasimamia ndio imepata kuiba mtihani, ndio matokeo yamefutwa na mambo. But like I said, so far so good. tushikilie pale pale, tuhakikishe kwamba Voi haina incident.
Now speaking in Voi at the Deputy County Commissioner's office while supervising the opening of exam storage container and distribution of Kenya Certificate of Secondary Examination materials, the Coast Regional Commissioner John Elung'ate called on individuals involved in the examination process to be proactive in upholding the integrity of the examination.
Kulia haya mambo hivi basi mtihani wetu utaharibika, alafu utasikia kwamba ile shule ulikuwa unasimamia ndio imepata kuiba mtihani, ndio matokeo yamefutwa na mambo kama hayo. But like I said, so far so good. Tushikilie pale pale, tuhakikishe kwamba Voi haina incident.
A total of 699,745 KCSE candidates are sitting the national exam, which is being manned by a total of 227,000 teachers. The 2020 KCSE National Examination kicked off March 26th and will end on Friday, 21st April 2021 with Home Science, Art and Design, Power Mechanics, Electricity, Drawing and Design, Aviation Technology and Computer Studies practicals.
In other news, President Uhuru Kenyatta has joined other world leaders in mourning Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, who passed away Friday. Prince Philip, who was 99, was the husband to Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom and was the longest-serving royal consort in British history.
In his message of condolence and comfort, the head of state eulogized the Duke of Edinburgh, saying he had been a towering symbol of family values and the unity of the British people as well as the entire global community. The Duke of Edinburgh, who was the longest-serving consort in British history, passed away peacefully this morning at Windsor Castle. Prince Philip had undergone a heart surgery and was discharged from the hospital in mid-March. Politicians across the UK were united in mourning following the announcement of the Duke's death. For Channel One News, I'm Jacqueline Masharia.
Je, umeomoka? Kama hujaomoka kwenye Quickbit ndio mambo yote. Hapa tuko na fridge, kodi yake ni CM. Tuko na gas cooker, kodi yake ni CK. Tuko na TV, kodi yake ni TV. Tuko na simu aina ya Samsung ni SM ama Oppo ni Oppo. My friend, mahali popote unanitizama, eka hizo kodi zake kisha utume kwa 4032353. 4032353. Alafu utakuwa unaomoka na hizi bidhaa. Kumbuka kwenye Quickbit ni bila bora zaidi kwa bei ya chini kwa chini.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Kweli Nairobi ni shamba la mawe.
Why? Did someone steal your stuff?
Not just someone, a pastor. Guy, a pastor.
A pastor. Hey, he must be very smart up here.
With what money? Please.
What seems to be the problem here?
The problem is we have been complaining. We are not understanding what you are saying. And you keep insisting. Lighting this down. Light what down?
Look, I'm your teacher. I'm supposed to give you only 30%. The rest comes from your own efforts. Teacher, so did you tell us to pay 100% school fees for 30% knowledge? What is missing? You said pesa zingine zinaenda wapi? Maybe we should gain for the wasted percentage.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC. This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Happy Valentine's Day, sweetie. You too, Mom.
I'm just gonna leave you two alone.
I'll call you?
Oh, no.
That was slam. Go park some cars. towards the end the dark night strikes again.
Here's the problem with men of this generation.
Ladies, till you understand the mindset of a man, you are never going to win in the game of love.
Act like a lady, but think like a man.
Action, the guy with potential.
See?
Watch it. Yeah, look how small your skirt is. Yay! Act like a man.
Welcome back. Now let's proceed. President Uhuru Kenyatta has called on the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States to focus in leveraging on its past successes such as the existing economic partnership agreements so as to become a more influential actor in the global economic arena. Now speaking on Thursday night at State House, Nairobi, when he delivered the opening statement during a virtual town hall meeting of the OACPS, the head of state said that over 1 billion people that make up the 79-member multilateral body provides a huge potential for intra-OACPS trade and investments.
President Uhuru Kenyatta said the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States presents enormous opportunities for intra-OACPS trade and investments and the achievement of greater shared prosperity for all the member states, bearing in mind the combined population of over 1.1 billion people and a gross domestic product of about $3.2 trillion. Kenyatta, who is the current president in office of the Summit of OACPS heads of state and government, outlined his vision for the multilateral institution, saying he envisions a transitionary OACPS that is united and progressive.
Our recovery critically hinges on our implementing the shared agenda with unity and solidarity. This includes our shared agenda on environmental sustainability, climate change, financing for development, multilateralism, as well as peace and security.
Speaking while he delivered the opening statement during a virtual town hall meeting of the OACPS, the head of state challenged other member states to focus in having a transition that supports structural transformation so as to foster industrialization, diversification of the member states' economies, and enable an increase in value addition of the primary products.
We need to create alliances and use forums such as the Investment Climate Reform Facility to continue to support the African, Caribbean and Pacific countries to improve their investment climate as well as their business climate.
On financing of development in OACPS, President Kenyatta called for a multi-pronged approach to resource mobilization and welcomed the various debt relief mechanisms.
Our negotiators for financing the agreement between the OACPS and the EU. The initiating of this agreement will take place this month. That is April of 2021. This relationship will further enhance our capacity to cooperate and to address issues of common interest such as health, education, business, as well as climate change.
The president welcomed the completion of the new agreement between OACPS and the European Union, saying the pact will be initiated later this month. Timothy Kipnusu for Channel 1 News.
Police have recovered a bullet from the body of the late Betty Barasa, an employee of Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, following a post-mortem. Police say the discovery, including clues found in the house on Thursday, will play a key role in trailing the suspects who carried out the gruesome execution.
A post-mortem did by forensic officers led to the discovery of a bullet head in senior KBC video editor Betty Baraza's head. Kajiado North Sub-County Police Commander Patrick Munyasi says this finding will go a long way in assisting the authorities track and bring to book the murderers.
The bullet head is equally going to assist us because it is part of our forensic investigation. Just in case of a few recoveries, we are doing so well, and we will be able at least to have a breakthrough.
Manyasi adding that some leads were discovered during the Thursday sweep in the scene of crime that will aid investigators.
But we believe that we shall divulge everything to you once we have completed the investigations for the purpose of protecting several issues, the legal matters, and also for the purpose of helping us to catch up with the criminals who are on the run.
The discovery coming even as relatives of the late are appealing to the government to come to their aid during these trying times as the death occurred within lockdown counties. Betty was shot dead on Wednesday night minutes after leaving her workstation at the broadcasting house. Isufar, Channel 1 News.
Betty was a living proof of how a fine person can be. She was a good friend to many of us and a great colleague. The character of the life she lived might be summed up in a few words. She was sincere, earnest. She gave energy, commitment, and inspiration. She had a beautiful smile and a great sense of humor, a great demeanor, and most of all, a big heart. She will forever remain in our hearts. Now, we do apologize for that. Now, in other news, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees has bowed to government pressure and offered a raft of proposals to the Kenyan government, which aimed at finding a lasting solution for about 430,000 refugees living in Dadaab and Kakuma refugee camps. The Kenyan government, through the Ministry of Interior, gave UNHCR a 14-day ultimatum to have a roadmap on definite closure of the 2 refugee camps located in Kenya. Now, UNHCR in its proposal recommends a dignified voluntary repatriation and resettlement to third countries of refugees who are not able to return home and face protection risks.
Kenya's Dadaab and Kakuma refugee camps have been home to about 430,000 refugees, mainly from Somalia and other countries like South Sudan and Ethiopia, fleeing from violence, war, hunger, extreme poverty, and at times consequences of natural disasters. After decades of this humanitarian effort, the government of Kenya first announced its intention to shut the Dadaab camp back in 2016, citing national security concerns. And on March 24, 2021, the Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i gave the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees a 14-day ultimatum to have a roadmap on the definite closure of both Dadaab and Kakuma refugee camps. In a brief statement posted on social media, the Interior Ministry said there was no room for further negotiations. 2 days after the lapse of that ultimatum, UNHCR has provided what it terms as a sustainable and right-based solutions for refugees residing in camps, which include enhanced voluntary repatriation in safety and dignity, while taking into account the movement restrictions related to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Provision of alternative stay arrangements to refugees from the East African community, acceleration of the issuance of national ID cards to over 11,000 Kenyans who have previously been identified as registered in the refugee database, as well as resettlement to third countries for refugees who are not able to return home and face protection risks. UNHCR is also calling for more dialogue on the matter to ensure that the refugee rights are protected. The development coming just a day after the High Court suspended the government's move to shut down the 2 camps. Justice Anthony Mrima issued the temporary order, which will run for 30 days after former presidential aspirant Peter Gishira filed a legal challenge to block the closure of the 2 camps. In his petition, Gishira had argued that the directive to close the 2 camps violates Kenya's constitution as well as international laws and treaties regarding protection of refugee rights. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Safin Aching Ouma.
Away from that, a section of coffin traders in Kiambu town are lamenting over plans to evict them from their stalls. The irate traders say they were shocked to wake up in the morning only to find their stalls earmarked for demolition without any notice. Now, the traders claim they have nowhere else to put up their businesses and are calling on Governor James Nyoro to intervene.
Adjacent to the Kiambu District Hospital mortuary lies the string of kiosks that have been the source of livelihoods for many traders selling coffins. Joseph Mugombugwa has been operating here since 1998, but things are taking a new turn for him and his family after he received an eviction notice from the county government.
Hiyo miaka yote tangia 1998 nimekuwa hapa Kiambu nikiuzia hapa Kiambu hii karibu na mochari, nimekuwa nikiuzia mageneza hapo. Sasa imekuwaje? Nimewekewa ati mimi sijapata notice na ninashindwa kwani kunaendeleaje na nitaenda wapi?
Many of these kiosks have been earmarked for demolition, with the traders left puzzled over their next move during these trying times of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Tumekaa hapa kwa muda na sasa hii barua ilikuja jana. Tukaambiwa 14 days tuwe tumetoka hapa. Sasa tunauliza hivi serikali na venye hii tuko na mzigo ya hii corona yenye imeingia, tutaenda wapi? Kama saizi mimi niko hapa na mtoto na si mmoja, niko na watoto wengine kwa nyumba. Na mimi ndio mama na mimi ndio baba.
Ombi letu ni moja. Wawachana watu wa Kiambu wafanye biashara kwanza. Tusukumane na hii janga la COVID-19. Sio wakati wa kuja kufuruga wananchi wale wako chini sana.
They are now calling on the county governor James Nyoro to intervene.
Tuko wengi zaidi ya watu 80 mahali hapa tunafanya biashara. So kuambiwa tu nilikuwa ninauliza jambo moja. Kama hili jambo gavana wetu Bwana Nyoro, Dr. Nyoro analifahamu, ama wale wabunge ama MCA wale wako mahali hapa, kwa sababu wakati tulipocholewa mahali hapa hatujaona watu wote ambao wamejitokeza kuja hapa kututetea sisi wafanyikazi biashara hapa Kiambu.
Kuna watu wakubwa wako huko, kama hii kitu inatolewa hapa ni mtu mmoja ako na that interest, na sitakubali hapa Kiambu. Ninaomba sana Gavana Nyoro, na kama unanisikia tafadhali, kama tunataka kuongeza miradi hapa Kiambu, tusifanye biashara na watu wale wako chini sana. Hizi vioski unaona hapa zinalisha watoto wengi sana. Wengine wamesomeshea hapa mpaka wameenda primary, secondary mpaka university wakiwa hapa. Wakitoka hapa wataenda wapi?
Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Safin Aching Ouma.
Stakeholders in the Building Bridges initiative now claim political goodwill is lacking to drive the BBI bill. Professor Adam Zolo, the vice chair of BBI task force, says in as much as it's necessary to have a referendum, some proposals can be implemented without a plebiscite if all actors played their part.
The latest developments on the divisions of the bill have triggered reactions from some of those who midwifed the bill, who now claim strong political goodwill is lacking to realize the goals set out in the BBI document.
Do you have the political interest to make it work? And therefore the question would be, even as you look at BBI and the road to 2022, do we have the political interest for BBI to work?
Professor Adam Solo, who co-chaired the BBI task force, is of the view that a Ministry of Implementation would be key to ensure some issues in the BBI that do not require a referendum are put in place ahead of the next general election.
In this country, where is the big problem that also fails on the US BBI? I want to suggest that at times, Professor Nyoro is here and some politicians are online, at times we give too much credence to what are in the political country at times called political will.
These are stakeholders at Uongozi Forum called for political parties to undertake civic education on matters national ethos to enhance democracy.
Urging us all to take a personal initiative in promoting the key aspects of this document that will promote equality, social justice, inclusiveness, and human rights. After all, Transparency, good governance, accountability, and integrity are all necessary elements that we seek to entrench as part of our national fabric.
By guaranteeing peace, political stability, and prosperity in Kenya, is a consociation of democracy that promotes both individual, community rights, needs and aspirations, and a government that is national, democratic, and development.
They also want leaders to evaluate the impact of borrowing on the economy amid dwindling trust among the public. The forum, whose theme is Building Bridges to Stability Reforms, Post-COVID-19 Recovery, aims at examining the BBI as a framework for sustained stability to underpin long-term and shared development in Kenya. Meanwhile, the KANU party says it will not field a candidate for the Kiambaa parliamentary seat once declared vacant, but will support the Jubilee candidate. Meanwhile, a section of Migori County Assembly ODM members have dared area Governor Okoth Obado to resign from the party if he is not by its leadership.
Amesema kama mwanasiasa na kama mtu ambaye ako na freedom ya kusema eti anaenda huku na ama anatoka huku. Lakini nataka kumwambia eti chama cha ODM kiko imara na kitayumba kwa sababu ametoka, na nataka kama yeye ni mwanaume kabisa ama kamili atangaze tu waziwazi eti ametoka chama cha ODM.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Away from Marty's BBI, the Meteorological Department is warning of heavy rains and possible flash floods in most parts of the country. Reports from the department indicate areas of central region, Nairobi Western and parts of eastern regions will receive above normal rainfall that might trigger floods.
Residents living in central Nairobi and parts of eastern regions have been warned of looming flooding. Heavy rains are expected in Nyeri, Murang'a, Embu, Meru, Kiambu, Tharaka Nithi, Laikipia, Nyandarua and Nairobi. In the meantime, residents of flood-prone area of Nyatike sub-county, Migori County, have expressed concerns of looming flash floods following heavy rains that continue to pound the area.
So these people, they had been forewarned, and most of them have moved, like the people of Modi, they have moved to Loala. Agenga have moved to the raised grounds of Agenga region, where they have settled permanently there.
Hundreds of residents of Agogo, Nyora, Sere and Modi villages who were last hit by raging floods have called on the government to help mitigate and provide safer dwellings.
Hivi karibuni maji yatajaa hata wenye wanaishi karibu na maji mtoni ama bahari hapa wanaweza affectiwa. So tunaomba serikali, tunaomba viongozi to take serious measures about this, because this can really affect our people.
Already River Kuja and Migori that drains into Lake Victoria through Lower Nyatike are flooded.
I had a budget of around 10 million from the county government, which we have done, responded to procurement of food items and non-food items, which are already in place. Some are coming still. Like from the Kenya Treasury, National Treasury, and other places. This money will help us into mitigating the effects of climate change.
Timothy Kipnoso for Channel 1 News.
And now on matters of business, businesses within the East African region have been urged to adhere to compliance policies and adopt quality assurance to boost cross-border trade and consequently lower the cost of doing business within the regional bloc.
According to the East African Business Council, the manufacturing industry's contribution to the regional GDP is projected to stand from an average of 9.7% to an average of 25% by 2032. To this end, stakeholders say the importance of the region's manufacturing sector can be amplified further through reinvention during tough times.
How can we make sure that the industrialization still peaks? How do we even start thinking of repurposing? Because it's important. I've seen situations in the wake of pandemic, industries across East Africa trying to repurpose. We could not think of, for example, manufacturing, PPEs at a time because we used to rely much on what was coming from the rest of the world.
The East African communities' economies are growing, and their importance as trading partners and investment destination.
Meeting virtually to deliberate on risks and challenges facing local industries, industry leaders from the EAC region underpinned adoption of technology to counter COVID-19 disruptions.
Which is a big opportunity for industries in Kenya and also in Africa. But again, their level of preparedness, the sophistication of their products, because we are now looking at a global scene.
Automation has so far been identified as an enabler for opportunities and partnerships in the quest for grounding local industries and improving local value chain content. Currently, manufacturing-based employment from industries stands at 456,000, with a projection of 2.3 million by 2032, according to the East African Business Council. Alanauko, Channel on Business.
One can now make an insurance claim on a virtual platform, signifying a paradigm shift from the traditional insurance space to digital platforms. However, reluctance by a section of agents to adopt the technology poses a threat to insurance disruptions. AAR Insurance Kenya MD Nixon Shigole says while COVID-19 has buoyed the digital revolution, agents pose a threat to growth if they are not quick to adapt to the needs of an increasingly tech-savvy, sophisticated clientele.
Insurers have traditionally been outside of the insurance innovation and are now facing the pressure to transform their operating and business models. As such, insurance brokers and agents will be required to facilitate critical processes like onboarding clients onto digital platforms, managing claims and other processes, and educating consumers on the benefits of digital insurance. According to AAR Insurance Kenya MD Nixon Shikoli, the shift to digital insurance creates opportunities for intermediaries to play an even bigger role in delivering an enhanced customer experience, thus creating a win-win situation for all parties in the value chain. He, however, cautions that agents could be a weak link if they are not quick to adapt to the rapidly evolving landscape.
Because we want the option to the client to either use an agent or the agent to introduce a client through the digital platform. So we foresee 60 to 80 to 70% of our business in 2021 being acquired through the digital platform.
InsurTech startups and companies that are completely outside of the traditional insurance space are encroaching on the territory which largely belonged to insurers in the past.
That we want the differentiating factor for AR will be immediate service delivery. From the time you press payment on your phone, in 1 hour you should be able to access services, all our services in an hour of pressing payment, and all the documents being availed to you through the online platform.
Regina Manyara reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Narok traders have urged both the national and county governments to consider giving traders in the region tax holidays as economic activities decline. Narok Chamber of Commerce and Industry Chairman David Mpatiani says many businesses are struggling due to limited cash flows, and tax breaks will help small businesses stay afloat during the pandemic.
Traders in Narok County say the recent cessation of movement imposed in adjacent counties of Nakuru, Kiambu and Kajiado has greatly affected their revenue streams. Narok Chamber of Commerce and Industry Chairperson David Mpatiani says small businesses are struggling due to limited cash flow as the country majorly depended on tourism activity that has since been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The chamber is calling on the county government to waive taxes levied on small businesses, land rates, rental income, business permits and water to reduce traders from spending.
Nimehimiza tu ya kwamba county government watusaidia wasingatie zile kidogo tu ambazo wanabiashara wanaenda hii ni wakati ngumu kwa sababu kuna permit, kuna pia land rate, at least wawefe.
The national government has been urged also to reduce power costs that has increased the cost of production across the country.
Pia Kenya Power wasisumbulie watu kwa sababu saa hii ni kubaya. At least hii msimu kidogo wajue vile tutasaidiana pamoja ndio twende pamoja. Kwa sababu hii kitu na affect sana wanabiashara.
Businesses have been advised to adhere to COVID-19 preventive measures spelled by the government to avoid run-ins with authorities. Terry Njenga, Channel 1 Business.
And now in the sports arena, vaccination of sportsmen and women entered day 2 Friday with rally drivers, navigators and service crew receiving the COVID-19 jab ahead of the WRC Safari Rally slated for June this year. The Ministry of Sports is targeting to vaccinate approximately 3,500 sportsmen and women and sports administrators countrywide against COVID-19 in the first phase of the exercise.
Rally drivers, navigators and service crew Friday showed up to receive the COVID-19 jab as they stayed up preparation ahead of the WRC Safari Rally. The Safari Rally will be making a return in the WRC calendar after an 18-year absence.
So we are quite excited about this exercise. As you can see, we have over 500 people here and the staff who are working around the clock to make sure that people are processed, registered and vaccinated are also doing a great job.
Despite all sporting activities in the country being currently suspended, the Ministry of Sports targets to vaccinate approximately 3,500 sportsmen and women and sports administrators countrywide.
I think we're pushing for WRC right now, as the government has said that no sporting activities to be taken part. So we're waiting for the government to give us a go-ahead, and then I think MSF will give us a new calendar, how the events will go on, autocross, rally, whichever.
Meanwhile, plans are underway to link the marketing of Kenyan product to the legendary Safari Rally, which returns to the FIA World Rally Championship, which premieres from June 24th to 27th of this year. WRC Safari Rally CEO Phineas Kimanthi said his team is exploring ways and means of ensuring that the country gains as a result of hosting a WRC event. Daniel Mwendwa for Channel 1 Sports.
Football Kenya Federation has kicked off the vaccination exercise of players and officials against COVID-19. The move targets to prepare players ahead of the resumption of the league, as well as prepare local-based players for national team duties.
Players have started receiving COVID-19 vaccination jab as the first step towards preparing for the resumption of soccer in the country. The Ministry of Sports had announced the start of a vaccination period for sportsmen, especially those with immediate competitions. President Uhuru Kenyatta announced the suspension of all sporting activities 2 weeks ago due to an upsurge of COVID-19 cases in the country. But a positive conversation has been ongoing between Federation and the Ministry to find ways that will enable safe resumption. Soccer resumption will help players to prepare for national assignments.
Manchester United boss Ole Gunnar has hailed the exceptional duo of Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford after United beat Granada 2-0 to enhance their chances of advancing to the Europa League semi-finals. Elsewhere, Slavia Praha scored a dramatic stoppage time equaliser to leave Arsenal's Europa League ambitions hanging in the balance.
Manchester United took a big step towards the Europa League semi-finals with a 2-0 away win over Granada in the first leg of their last 8. Marcus Rashford put United ahead when he superbly collected Victor Lindelof's long pass. Tottenham striker Roberto Soldado also fired wide. United doubled their lead late on when Bruno Fernandes squeezed a penalty past Silva after Jan Bryce fouled the Portuguese midfielder. The two sides will play the return leg next